All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of Conversing with the Griffins.
You.
Well, let's start on this side. So we have Ryan, then we have Josh at the bottom, and then Tanya. All right, so our quote for today: we may have our differences, but nothing's more important than family. And that quote is by Coco.
Coco.
I know. It's like when I said it too, it just hit me. So Ryan's dog that passed away a couple years ago, her name was Coco.
Someone's doing a seance or something. Like, what in the world?
Listen, Josh, we don't need to talk about pets. We're going to get to that one. Pet.
Not a topic yet.
We're going to get there because no one beats Josh when it comes to pets.
My good.
What you say?
I said, my good.
I actually got a quote too.
You got what?
I got a quote as well.
For
The quote.
For now or for
now.
Okay, what's your quote?
To be on.
You know what? Okay, so we're gonna.
Sometimes you're gonna have to ignore this one. You just
Listen. Didn't I just talk about on the last episode about not taking people face value? Why did I take you seriously?
I never do. It's always served me well.
Okay, so here, let's see what our new topic, oh goodness, is gonna be for this episode. Oh, I dropped one. Okay. College experiences.
I went solely for an education.
Who laughed like that, Josh? I totally went for an education.
I've got land in Florida also.
Oh, you were educated, all right. You got education, all right.
Not for what the tuition was for.
Right. This is that off-course training. Okay, college experiences.
What about the college experience? Like what
just anything you want to share about your college experiences.
I guess a good way to start would be kind of guess how they differentiated between all three of us, I guess. You know.
Well, Ty, you went to the party school, so like tell us about it.
Oh, I went to the party school.
Yeah, what they say.
So, okay, so let me see. I went to Radford University, and my college experience, oh my goodness, you know what? I had, so I had roommate issues. That's what my college experiences started off like. I don't know why my roommates were like, yeah, that experience it didn't go so well. Like, it's like every roommate I got, I went through my freshman year, I went through 1, 2, 3 different roommates in 2 in one semester. Like, it was just really bad. Like, yeah, unfortunately.
They just didn't pick up or clean up after themselves?
No, it wasn't that. It was just like, the first roommate I had, I think she was kind of jealous of me. So back in college, I got the attention of quite a few guys. And I think that made her, I think that made her jealous, honestly. She was a year ahead of me. But I'd known her, for quite a few years before, and which is why I thought it was a great idea to room with her, because I knew her prior to. And but that just goes to show you that, you never really know someone until you kind of live with that person. And so she was very mean. She got very mean. She wouldn't, like, we each brought different things, to share. She stopped sharing her stuff. She started bad mouthing me on campus. I mean, she started lying because, we knew each other's families. So she started spreading lies about me to her mom. And the interesting thing is, like, the things that she tried to say about me in the end, that it all turned out to be her.
Do I know her? I don't know her.
We're
You
not
were
gonna-
like, Ryan, you were like 5 years old, so you're not going to remember. Josh,
I know who you're talking about. I'm not.
yeah, Josh knows who I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Ryan, you were too young to remember. But yeah, it was just a horrible experience. Then I got room with this other girl, and she was like a nightmare on Elm Street. Like, she was just mean, nasty. I don't know. And then the third person I roomed with, she started off okay, but then she started stealing my clothes. Like, we had some of the same. And then she would just show up to class, and I'm like, oh, I have a shirt just like that. And she'd be like, oh yeah, it's your shirt. Excuse me, we don't ask, we just. And then she wore a really short hairstyle. So she would cut her hair, but then she would leave all of her hair in the sink and never clean it up. And then at the time we were freshmen, so we had an all girls dorm. So she would sneak her boyfriend in there, and I would just like walk in, and it'd be like, excuse me, I'll just find someone else to be for the rest of the night. I mean,
On the door, like that.
huh?
I said, no one put a sock on the door, nothing like that.
Listen, well, he wasn't. It was an all girls dorm, so he wasn't even supposed to be there. Period. So I mean, it was just crazy as far as roommate goes. But I mean, as far as like other stuff. This needs to be like a part 1 and part 2, because I could talk about so much of my college experiences, but I will share, got to share the time, share the screen. So who wants to go next?
Josh.
College experience. It was interesting to say the least. I think the only thing I would mention is that, this was cool. I went and got Scuba certified.
I remember that. In the Bahamas, right?
Well, that was a separate part of it. But,
oh, okay.
Yeah, you got Scuba certified, and what stuck out was the training. You see all the nature shows, and everyone's just chilling underwater and all that kind of stuff. But the journey to get that certification, no one really talked about that part. And so what was funny was there was this, like, I guess an Olympic sized pool, whatever, on the campus. And that's where we would train and all that kind of stuff like that. So part of the training involved you having to swim for 200 meters. That was supposed to simulate, if you're out in the ocean or something and you just have to swim, just randomly swimming. So I've always considered myself a fairly competent swimmer. But 200 meters, you don't really know what 200 meters is to start swimming 200 meters. That joke was like, what, 4 laps up and down the pool? Like that was sucking wind. Like that was at the end. And what struck me is that this girl was in the same class, and she was making it look easy. So like none of the dudes were saying nothing. Like we were trying to, we were like, if I drown in this pool, I'm not gonna yell and nothing. I'm gonna get through these, because she's like lapping dudes. Like, girl was amazing. So I remember like on the last leg, because you couldn't hold on to the edge or nothing. You had to hoof it. And I was sitting there as I was going under, wondering if this was for me. But I got through it. So I just think it was a fun experience. Part of that at the end, if you wanted to get, so after that class, you were certified for like, I don't know, 60 meters or something like that. The Bahamas one was, I think you got certified to like up to 100 meters. And so we did take a trip to the Bahamas to do that. And I remember my dive instructor was on the boat like Captain Nemo, drinking a Mountain Dew. And I experienced some intense motion sickness. It was just horrific. And so I was feeding the fish over the side, and actually came up and were eating. I was the most disgusting guy I've ever seen.
Josh, didn't you have motion sickness when we cruised to the Bahamas? Didn't the same thing? Like you had.
I don't think so because it wasn't the same. The boat was bigger.
No, but I thought you had to take something because you had like motion sickness real bad. I remember.
All I know is that the little boat, you had it really bad, and the guy was sitting there with like Captain Nemo drinking Mountain Dews with his foot, like they did George Washington crossing the river or whatever. The man was in there with like Napoleon Bonaparte, just like looking off in the sunset. And I remember he turned over and looked as he was finishing another Mountain Dew, and he said, "Oh, one's going." And he looked at me, and I was like, "Can I please go in the water, please? Like, can I just get off this shaking contraption?" And so I got, all my stuff on, and then I fell over the side, purposefully. And I went over so fast, I forgot to get my weight belt, which lets you sink. And so it was crazy. It was crazy. So one of the other divers came, he helped me out, got the belt. Now, the thing about diving is when you get a weight belt on, the biggest thing is buoyancy, right? So everything contributes to buoyancy, breathing in, exhaling, filling your life vest type thing contraption that you have on, and then combining that with the weight belt, the right, it's almost like a scale, like an equilibrium type scale. So once you get that situated, then you're at the right, buoyancy level, so you don't keep sinking or you don't rise up, too fast. So, but anyway, once I put the belt on, I sank like a rock, and I was going down like, but I felt so much better, versus on the boat.
On the boat.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a fun experience. We got to watch a shark feeding and all that kind of stuff. And then later we went to a restaurant, and I saw some of the same fish that were showing me around down there on the plate. I'm like, man, you are a delicious rascal. Like, I didn't even know. Like, had I known, I would try to catch you when I was down there. Like, I didn't know. But it was fun. It was like a cool, something different. No one's ever done that before, or I've never seen anyone do it before. And just kind of walking that experience. That was pretty cool. So something I'm interested to get back in at some point, but really cool. If you have a chance to do it, I recommend it.
Oh, wait. Josh is missing another college experience that I would like to bring out.
You don't want to waste all the time.
Huh?
Want to waste all the time.
He met his beautiful wife in school. That's where him and his wife actually met, in college. I just wanted to say that.
Cool.
All right, Ryan.
As I said before, I went solely for educational purposes.
Right.
So that I succeeded with flying colors, and then I got out.
And all in between.
Well, first and foremost, I didn't even go to the college that I originally wanted to go to. I just kind of like fell into one of those things. I originally wanted to go down to Florida and deal with like music and arts and recording. But I got a scholarship to the school that I went to. And so it was, I don't know how to describe it. I think for me, the best thing about college was really finding out myself. It's the really first time that I was separated from our family bubble like that. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of how I fell in love with the city of Philly in general. You know what I mean?
Mom boo-hooed, by the way.
Yeah, they said that she sat on the bed and looked at my face.
You left the rest of us stuck to that while you were gone. But yes.
I did not cry, by the way.
Huh?
I did not cry.
Josh.
You know you missed it.
I saw a tear.
I know. There was a couple.
Maybe because he wasn't there to do dishes. Maybe that. And the tear was a splash of soapy water.
Yeah, I mean, I met a lot of cool people that I'm still obviously meet your, they say your lifelong friends basically there. I think for me, the biggest thing was, I don't even know how to describe it, man. There was, like you said, there's a lot that just went on in college. There was a lot that goes on. Mm-hmm. I mean, you the best way to describe it is like me just simply finding myself. I know I had a lot of ups, I had a lot of downs. I know I stressed out the family a lot. you know, about those kind of things as I was finding myself.
That's why I got all these gray hairs right here.
No, that's from helping everybody out.
Hey,
that's the bleeding heart. That's from a bleeding heart.
Ryan has a few in here too. Like
that's from being devilment.
Yeah, so like there was I don't know, there was parties, obviously. I feel like I lived more in what you would think a stereotypical college experience was than you two. You know, I definitely did party, and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. Oh, I know. The best thing though, for me personally, when I went to college, there was a program that actually allowed me to go to Israel in college. That was super fun. I love it.
No. We have to talk about this Israel experience. Let's talk about it.
That was great. I think it's more so Israel was really cool. It was just like a lot of things of perceptions of like, you know, you just feel like everything is holy, and then you find out that they're pickpocketing you. It's like, wait, not the holy people. Like, come on now. You know,
the holy people.
Right, the holy people. You know, I need that. That's my wallet, bro. I was like, you must be related to Jews.
So Ryan, wait a minute. So let's talk about Dad's camera while we're talking about Israel.
John, did you ever hear about that?
You borrowed Dad's camera.
You borrowed Dad's camera.
I think you knew everything that went on with that camera.
Listen, okay, so wait a minute. So Ryan's gonna tell you about him borrowing Dad's camera to go to Israel. And then Ryan, what was it, like 3 months later? I went
like 3 months later.
Borrowed Dad's camera also? Okay. Ryan, you start.
So what happened was, so we all talked about how Father gets very particular about his things, you know. So you can just imagine anything when you're trying to like borrow something from him. So for whatever reason, Dad allowed me to borrow his camera to go to Israel. So the thing is though, when you borrow something of Father's, your life is no longer relevant. You know, it's not relevant. It's the camera or whatever you do must come back in esteemed condition. Like if there's a scratch, if it's slightly tilted to the left, like he's gonna know, and it's over. So I had the camera, I was guarding it with my life, you know, as a good son, and that's what I was doing. And then I remember what happened was I forgot where we were at. We were on some mountain taking pictures or something. Some mountain. And I was taking a picture, and all of a sudden a gust of wind blew. And I dropped the camera.
Josh, you never heard of this story?
So I dropped the camera. The camera came out my hand, Joshua.
You gotta die for that, bro.
I did, but it was falling off the mountain.
It doesn't matter.
And I just jumped after it.
Yeah, that's right.
I jumped after the camera. Everyone in my party was like, "Oh!" And they went and they grabbed me, but I caught the camera.
Okay.
And I was so upset though, because it got scratched on the outside. I caught it and I had it. And so they're like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "It's my dad's camera. You understand?" And I was like, "Well, I think he would care more about your life." I was like, "No, he doesn't.
Nope.
No, he doesn't. You don't understand." I said, "His camera is scratched." And I was terrified. Like literally, I jumped off a mountain for it, but the camera got scratched on the side. And all I could think of was like, yo, he's gonna see the scratch and it's gonna be over. Like, what's going on?
It is, yeah.
They couldn't believe that I was literally that scared. And it was like, you literally almost like died. You literally jumped off the side of a mountain, but it's a camera. You won't understand. You won't understand.
Yeah, they don't know Marvin Griffin Jr.
They don't know.
AKA Butch.
So after what happened and we got back stateside, I was so scared. I said, "Dad, I just want to let you know that, you know, first and foremost, you're looking spectacular today, my dude. Like you're just on it, you know."
All right.
And I said, "But I thank you. I'm so honored for the privilege to be able to use something of yours." But unfortunately, like it got scratched. Like it fell off. I told the whole story about how it fell off, but I caught it and it got a little scratch. And so Dad was like, "Oh, you know that, you know, it's okay because, you know, you're alive." And I'm like, "You're only saying this because you still have the camera." You know,
It's not adding up here.
No, you're only saying this because you had the camera. If I didn't come back with the camera, you would have been like, well, why didn't you dive after it? Like,
Right. Like, why are you here and the camera isn't? Like, I don't understand.
But Dad denies it. But we all know. We all know. But that was the story of the camera. But I had time to die when I told her about it. I was like, but I brought the camera back.
So check it. So 3 months later, I go to Israel.
Oh God. You guys.
I asked Dad to borrow this camera, his same camera, scratch and all. And Dad was like, Dad paused because
he's like, we've been here before.
It's like deja vu. It's like, wait. So I listen, we went through this whole speech about, looking after this camera, watching this camera, X, Y, and Z. So he let me borrow the camera. So we went to, it was the Dead Sea. We went to the Dead Sea.
Not good.
They had this like pit that you can get in, and you can put like this mud all over you, and then you can like wash it off in the Dead Sea because of all the salt, and it's supposed to make your make your skin super soft like a baby and all that kind of stuff. Like that's where they they have a factory there where they make all those products that they sell or whatever. So had the camera, but I was like, I was like, I want to do this. Not everybody participated. I wanted to do it, but I was like, obviously I can't take Dad's camera in the pit and in the water. So I asked someone that was on the trip with us okay, please, can you hold this camera? And I said, listen, I explained the seriousness. I said, this is my dad's camera, guard it with your life. He will take mine if you don't. So got in the mud. They said I look like the Avatar, like coming out of the mud. But anyway, got dipped in the Dead Sea or whatever. And this year, my skin was so super soft. So they have locker rooms for you to change and different things like that. So we all hustled into the locker room and getting our stuff. And so we get on the bus, and the bus starts taking off. Now I'm sitting next to the person that has Dad's camera. So I turned to the person and I'm like, okay, thank you for holding the camera, because she didn't go in at all. She just, stayed chilling. I said, thank you for holding the camera. Can I have the camera back? And she had this look on her face. And I'm like, the camera. And she was like, oh my gosh, I think I left the camera in the locker room. And I was freaking out. I was like, stop the bus, stop the bus. I was like, we gotta go back. So they were trying to figure out what was going on. So I explained to them, I'm like, you don't understand, this is my dad's camera. Like, I will walk back to the place myself. Just let me off the side of the bus. I'll go back myself and figure out.
I will ride a donkey.
Huh?
I said, I will ride a donkey.
Right, get back to the hotel. So they were like, no, let's call. So someone knew the person who actually owned that place that we were at. So they called the owner, and he sent his workers to go look where we were in the locker room to see if we can find the camera. The camera was nowhere. It was gone. And I felt like Ryan. I'm like, not the holy people, not the holy people took the camera. And so, I mean, listen, I was devastated. I couldn't even enjoy the rest of the trip. I was so devastated. I was paranoid. And all that was in my mind was, oh my God, this thing that happened with Ryan 3 months earlier. And then now this camera's back in Israel. It's like this camera was destined to stay in this country. But anyway, so I told the person, I was like, listen, my dad is going to flip out. So she was like, I'm so sorry. It was my fault. So I'll tell your dad, I will go as soon as we get back to the States, I will go and buy him another camera. And I'm just like, I don't know. I might need to stay here.
Right, what about the memory card? What about the battery? What about the bag? What about?
I was just like, I don't know. I don't think I'm flying back home. So when we get home, I am so nervous. Dad is there to pick me up. And I'm just shaking, and I'm like pushing her to the front, like, Dad, this person has something to tell you. So she explained what happened, and the look on Dad's face, I was like, oh, this is when I die. It's over. So she was like, but I will go, even if you want me to go today. My dad was like, hop in the car. She hopped in the car, and he literally took her to the store, and she had to buy her luggage is still in her hand. She had to go buy the exact same camera that Dad had, like the instant we got to the States. Like, she was in the store buying a camera for him. Like, Dad was not playing. And I don't think I've ever asked to borrow anything of Dad's after that. I was like, no, it's not even worth my life.
It's just too risky.
Yeah, it is too risky. It's just like, it's
not
no point.
Like, it needs to be back in a condition that it was before it was sold.
Right.
Like, on the shelf.
Better than the manufacturer.
Right.
Oh my gosh, listen.
But he always has nice things. So I mean, that's a good reason.
Exactly. But no, I'm sorry. When you mentioned Israel, I was like, whoop. That camera story.
They dove off the side of the mountain.
I listen, exactly. And then the crazy thing is, Dad tries to act like, oh, I'm not that bad. And we all like, sir.
Have you borrowed something from yourself?
Have you borrowed something from yourself?
I wouldn't recommend it, friend.
Listen, that man.
Reminds me of, what is it, like the loan sharks or like the mob people? I was like, you go and they pay like,
hey, Joey, you got my camera?
Hey, Joey.
Did he bring the keys back?
Listen, threatening to break your limbs. Feed him to the fishes. Like, listen, that man, I don't play with him with his stuff. Like, I try my hardest never to have to borrow anything of his, ever.
Tell him to try on the cement shoes.
That's right. Next, you're picking up broken teeth with broken fingers.
Exactly. I'm telling you. Anyway,
very nice stuff. Very nice stuff.
He has very nice stuff.
I stuff that there should be like in a museum. Like, you can look, don't touch.
Yes.
I'm not always everything.
Exactly. Well, all right, fam. So another episode of Conversing with the Griffins. Thank you for watching.